Betty White, forever young, forever radiant. Can someone live almost a century and never age a single day? Is a century of life enough to give the world light? How many people can honestly say, "I left behind more kindness than I ever took"? December 31, 2021. America was getting ready for New Year's Eve. The streets were lighting up with garlands, the air smelled of fireworks, and television screens showed bright captions. 100 years of Betty White, getting ready to celebrate. The whole world held its breath, waiting for the new year together with her. Together with Betty White. The woman they called the softest light of America. A symbol of kindness and living proof that age has no power over the soul. And then, as if someone muted the entire world. TV studios paused their broadcasts. Directors looked at each other, unable to find words. And then the host said slowly, "We lost a national treasure. Betty White passed away in her sleep." She did not live to see her 100th birthday, a celebration that the whole world had already begun preparing. And in that moment, it felt as if the planet stopped. Not from sorrow, but from a physical sense that there was suddenly a little less kindness in the world. Who was this woman? Why, when she was gone, did millions feel it not as news, but as a loss? As if someone close had disappeared, someone we had never seen in person, but always felt beside us. She acted in comedies, but not for laughter's sake. There was something in her every movement that cannot be learned, living warmth. She didn't just joke, she restored the ability to feel joy, even to those who had forgotten how to smile. She could laugh on camera and in the same moment read the pain in someone's eyes, to understand without words, and to heal better than many who trained for it their whole lives. She had no degree in philosophy, but her life became a philosophy on its own. She was not only an actress, but a thinker, a quiet mentor, and a true fighter who knew how to keep going even when the stage had already gone dark. 80 years in front of the camera. 80 years and not a single day when she wasn't grateful for life. She could be tired, she could be sad, she faced loss, but she never stopped appreciating the simple fact that every morning she could wake up and say, "Today, I am still here." The Guinness Book of Records confirmed it, the longest career in television history. But her real achievement wasn't in numbers. It was in the fact that people still say, "When I heard her voice, I felt better." She knew a secret that no school or textbook ever teaches. My secret to longevity? Don't waste time on anger. That energy is better used for laughter. Today we will remember, not just whom she loved, but whom she gave hope to. Not only how she fought, but what helped her rise again. Not only how she lived, but how she made the world smile even after she was gone. Today, we will try to understand how one woman managed to become a cure for loneliness for an entire era. January 17, 1922, Oak Park, Illinois. A little girl was born, Betty Marion White. A girl who already had a voice. The world was different. There was no television. Movies were silent. But she was loud. Very loud. Very alive. She dreamed of becoming a forest ranger. She adored animals, walked in the woods, and wrote in her notebook, "If I could talk to animals, I would ask if they understand our sadness." But one day, at school, she stepped onto the stage. A simple performance, nothing special. Except one thing. Everyone looked only at her. That day, the world changed. Because for the first time, she made people smile. When I saw their reaction, I realized it wasn't me who came alive on stage. It was them, every time I spoke. Later, the White family moved to California, not in search of a better life, but simply to survive. America was going through the Great Depression. Millions lost their jobs. People stood in lines for bread, losing not only their income, but their sense of tomorrow. The whites had no wealth, no influence, no guarantees. But they had a principle, and it became the foundation of Betty's success. There was one rule in the White household: don't complain, act.
Her father went door to door, selling homemade radios he built from spare parts. Sometimes he gave them away for free because he understood. Sometimes sound matters less than the feeling that someone remembered you. He carved little wooden dogs and gave them to children who had forgotten what a smile looked like. Her mother, quiet, strong, fed those who couldn't afford dinner. Sometimes food barely remained for their own family, but there was never silence at the table. Betty later said, "If a person doesn't feel alone, they are already saved." Their home wasn't rich, but it was a place where no one ever felt unnecessary. Betty saw poverty. She saw broken adults. She saw empty eyes in long bread lines. She understood the world can be very heavy, but she also saw something else. Sometimes one kind gesture can change someone's whole day. Sometimes someone's laughter is stronger than any medicine. She learned simple things. If you can help, help. If you can make someone laugh, do it. If you can simply stand beside someone, that is already enough. She didn't yet know that one day she would deliver that feeling to millions of people through television screens. She was just learning to be light in someone else's darkness. And her parents often repeated a phrase she remembered for life: "Do what you can and do it honestly." That phrase became her backbone, not her career, not her strategy, her character. And she never betrayed it. Not on stage, not in life, not even in her darkest hour. She later said something that became her unofficial motto: "You don't need much to bring people light. You only need to be the kind of person next to whom darkness loses its power." That was her essence, a person with nothing supernatural, except a light she wanted to share. 1949. For many actors, a time of great opportunity, but not for her. Betty had no agent, no professional education, no connections, not even certainty that anyone would ever hear her. She worked as an assistant. She carried props, held microphones, sorted papers for directors. She stood on the set not as a performer, but as background. Sometimes when the director turned away, she acted out scenes, recorded small monologues at home on an old reel-to-reel tape recorder, just to see if her voice deserved to be heard. She wasn't chasing fame. She was searching for a place where she could be herself. One day, the host of Hollywood on Television needed an urgent replacement. Live broadcast. In 1 hour. The chosen actress had suddenly fallen ill. They called every agent they could. No one was available. Then someone remembered the quiet girl who always helped around the studio. "Can you go on air for 5 minutes? Just hold the segment?" 5 minutes, she asked. "What do I need to do?" "Just be there. Talk. Keep the viewers watching." "Do we have a script?" "No, and no time for one." Betty walked onto the stage and held the air for 6 minutes. Then they gave her 5 more, then 10 more. And she ended up doing 6 hours of live television as if she was born for it. The next day they told her, "We don't know who you are, but you did what professional actors couldn't do. If you're willing, the job is yours." She was ready because she had lived all those years as if waiting for that one call. She had been preparing for that minute her entire life. From that day began the longest career in television history. Years later, she said, "I didn't know how it should be done. I only knew that you had to be alive. And if you're truly alive, the stage will always find you." And that moment sparked a new chapter in her life. 1954. She was just 32. Women in America rarely hosted their own TV shows, but Betty had already proven she could hold a broadcast better than many professionals. NBC producers noticed her and offered her The Betty White Show. It was unthinkable at the time. A woman hosting her own project, without a male mentor, without a partner, without a secretary role on screen. She was the first, and every appearance became more than a show. It was a challenge to the system. During production, she was shown a talented dancer, young, polite, smiling. His name was Arthur Duncan. He performed in small revues and club shows, but never got access to major stages because of his skin color. Betty saw him once and told the producer, "Invite him, the show needs him. He is real, he is alive, and the audience always reaches for what's real." She didn't expect backlash, she didn't think of consequences, she was simply being honest. When the episode aired, outrage followed immediately. Letters poured in. "Don't show him again. This is not a place for people like him. We don't want to see them on TV." Sponsors pressured the studio. The media hinted at consequences. Producers told her, "If you want to keep the show, remove him." Betty White went on air, live, no script, no rehearsal, and she said to the camera, "This is my show. Arthur is talented, and he stays." Threats followed. Ratings dropped. Producers were ready to cancel the show. But Betty didn't change her mind. She did the opposite. She gave Arthur even more airtime.
Years later, Arthur Duncan said, "Without Betty, I would never have become an artist. She opened doors that were closed to everyone with my skin color." Betty later said, "You can say I didn't change the world, but if even one person got a chance, then it was worth it." So who was she? Just a TV host? Or a woman who laughed in the face of the system and won? Betty was engaged 3 times, but loved only once. She no longer believed anything real could exist in Hollywood. And precisely then, he appeared, TV host Alan Ludden. He saw her not as a star, but as a person, and fell in love immediately. He proposed. She smiled and said no. But Alan wasn't the kind to give up. From that day on, every morning she found a ring and a note on the table with 2 words. "Well, how about now?" Day after day, month after month. He didn't convince her, he waited. Exactly 1 year later, she said yes. They didn't pretend. They didn't act romantic. They simply were themselves. They laughed loudly, argued sometimes, but every night said, "We made it through this day." She said, "He never tried to make me better. He simply respected who I already was." That is the rarest kind of love, the kind that doesn't demand change because it already sees you as enough. Then came cancer, and time became fragile. They held on to every day, every breakfast, every minute of silence, where being together required no explanation. When Alan passed, Betty's world grew quieter, but it didn't collapse. She carried him within her and never married again. She said, "Why look for a second love when you already know what real love looks like?" She lived 40 more years, performed, joked, saved animals, helped people fight fear of aging, and did it shining. But she wore his ring until her last day. Because sometimes the heart doesn't search for a new story when it has already found its final one. She returned to the stage exactly 1 year after her husband's death. Not sooner, her heart still didn't know how to live without him. Not later, because he always told her, "If you can give people light, do it most of all when you yourself are in darkness." She walked onto the stage again to play one of her most iconic roles, Rose Nyland, a woman with a pure heart who saw not flaws in people but potential. And perhaps she wasn't acting. She simply let the screen show the very love Alan once gave her, a love that cannot be lost, only turned into light. The Golden Girls became a phenomenon, not just because of its jokes, but because people turned it on when they needed a living warmth and had no one beside them. Her fans wrote, "You saved me from depression. I watched you while my father was dying, and for the first time in a week, I smiled. Your voice heals." And she always answered softly, as if unwilling to take credit. "If you smiled when life was hard, then my life was not in vain." Sometimes she added, "When I played Rose, it was my way of talking to Alan, so that he could hear me." Who was she? An actress who knew how to be funny, or a woman who chose to fight not against her own pain, but against the darkness in other people's hearts? People often asked, "How did you manage to live almost a century?" She answered, "The secret? Don't think the world is against you. Just wake up and say, 'Let's see what happens today.'" She wasn't afraid of age. She didn't hide her wrinkles, she studied them. She said, "These aren't signs of aging, they're traces of laughter." She acted into her 90s, hosted shows, launched documentaries, rescued animal shelters, wrote letters to lonely people she never met. She had no children, and one day a journalist dared to ask, "Why?" She smiled and answered, "Children are a lifelong responsibility. I couldn't give them all my time, but animals I could save. Let that be my motherhood." When asked about heaven, she wouldn't joke. She would simply say, "If heaven exists, Alan will be there, and dogs." Because love, she said, never disappears. It only changes shape and becomes care for everything alive. In 2021, she turned 99. She prepared for her birthday with interviews, special features, jokes. She planned to dance and show the young ones how to live with humor. Sometimes she walked past Alan's photo and softly said, "We almost made it to 100, didn't we, darling?" 2 weeks before her death, someone asked her, "What would you tell people who fear aging?" She thought and answered words that became her epitaph. "You shouldn't fear old age. You should fear one thing, leaving nothing behind." She didn't just live 99 years, she lived a message. Life is measured not by length, but by the traces it leaves in other people's hearts. In her final days, a short video message was being prepared for her fans. It was meant to be her thank you for love, support, and for staying by her for nearly a century. She knew she was living the last pages of her story, but she remained vivid, sharp, warm, bright, as if inside her still burned that same light she had given to people her entire life. When the camera rolled, she smiled her signature soft smile, and what mattered wasn't how she looked, but that her eyes were still filled with life. She spoke a few sentences which later became her final words to the world. She thanked her viewers for the best career anyone could ever dream of, for the letters, the flowers, and the laughter they had given her through the years. Then she paused, as if wanting to give her words space to land gently in every heart. And she said, "If I made your day a little brighter, even once, then my life was worth it." And everyone in the room went silent. Those words didn't sound like a line from an actress, but as a quiet, graceful farewell, the closing sentence of a life where light proved stronger than time. December 31, 2021. She woke up, had breakfast, spoke with her housekeeper, and said, "I feel very peaceful today. It will be a good year." She lay down to rest and did not wake again. The world found out hours later. Newspapers, channels, social media, all paused. Hundreds of thousands of posts under one hashtag, "Thank you, Betty." Times Square lit up with her life's moments. The Walk of Fame was covered in flowers. People cried, not like fans, but like family. Singer Cher dedicated a song to her. Animal shelters brought food in her honor. Thousands donated, writing only one phrase, "For Betty," because she would have wanted it. So why did her departure touch millions? Why did the world mourn not a celebrity, but someone who might have been family? Because she was what we all secretly dream of, a kind person. She didn't act kindness, she breathed it. She lived so that her smile became medicine for those who had long run out of hope. And her words became the epitaph of an entire generation. Try to be kind. It's not that hard. There is always room for kindness, even when it feels like there isn't. Someone once asked her, If you had 1 minute before leaving this world, what would you say? She didn't answer as an actress. She answered as someone who had lived everything and understood the most important truth. I would say, thank you for listening, for laughing, and for being there even when the screen was off. So, can a person live a century and never grow old? Yes, if they choose not fame but light, not appearance but heart, not roles but honesty. And if such a person ever lived, her name was Betty White.